I mean, this was like several months ago, so I don't really remember the full context. It had something to do with like, like who's a greater threat to the country or something like that.
No, they wanted
So
they wanted to strong arm us into voting for Kamala Harris, and it crashed and burned. So, and they're still very upset about it.
I mean,
They're
wait,
still
hold
very
on.
weepy about it.
Before
So,
we get into the socialism thing, I mean,
Oh my god, I actually cannot stand moderates. Moderates are like the cancer of this earth. Holy shit. Bro. They have the biggest fucking victims complexes for nothing. For nothing. Who the fuck are you? Who the fuck are you? Okay, like, dude, it's just like, I can't imagine like having a bridge with these guys ever. It's just, god, these people are so insufferable. I could barely handle SFO, okay? And he considers himself to be a moderate centrist person, and I always call him a retard for it, so it's just, oh my god.
and we don't even have to discuss it. I'm just curious what your answer is. Like, do you think it's clear that it was the correct thing to vote for Kamala Harris, and at least in hindsight?
I think it was the correct. Well, first of all, I didn't vote for Kamala Harris, and I didn't vote for Trump. I said I wasn't going to vote for Trump because.
Okay, great. So you're basically non-existent. You're completely useless to American democracy, and you're egotistical, and you expect everyone to twirl around you and fucking jerk off your dick or some shit. Like, okay, dude. All right, I got you. All right, you don't want to participate in American democracy. It's fine, okay? I didn't know you were a tinky fascist, so.
If Trump lost, and I actually thought Kamala Harris was going to win, you can watch our live stream from that night. We actually had Annika. We had Anna Kasparian on to talk about the election a little bit before any of it happened. So,
okay.
But I thought I didn't want to vote for Trump because I thought if Trump lost, he was going to be a sore loser and he was going to pretend he won and it was going to be this huge catastrophe for the country. And I didn't want to say, oh yeah, I voted for him. So I didn't vote for the top of the ticket. But I'm not sure Kamala Harris would be any better than Trump right now. So
Okay,
I don't regret Trump winning.
What? Right now? You don't know if Kamala Harris is going to be better than Trump right now? I must have not have heard that right.
Election in any way, shape, or form.
Well, I promised. I promised
didn't hear that right.
we don't have to get into it, but obviously I radically
imagined that in my
disagree.
head.
I think that Kamala would have been a lot better.
I have a question for you. Why are all leftists such condescending pieces of shit?
I don't know. Am I being condescending now? I just said I had a disagreement with you.
Okay. Totally, you're very condescending, but let's move on.
Sorry.
Oh, come on, Adam. What? Adam, dude, God, Adam, you're such a fucking whiny crybaby little cunt weasel. Oh my god. You're literally, God, these centrists are soft as shit. Fucking constantly crybolly, okay? There's no shot. You're telling me Adam never fucking, like, dished out anything where he is, like, mocking someone? I'm pretty sure we can, like, find something where Adam is, like, literally being the most condescending motherfucker ever to people. Holy shit, dude. These people are actually cancer. Oh my god.
So I have to put a correction here. Dev didn't tattle on us. Someone else did. So, okay.
Sorry. It was not Dev. It was just a random person in my community.
Okay. Well, Dev,
I guess a joint fan.
In our DMs, he was like, listen, that's not, Econoboi has a very complicated set of positions. And I said, oh, okay. And I didn't really understand them.
No, he does not. He's a retard. Okay, but okay.
Yeah, it's a very complicated set of skills and positions. So anyway, talking about the socialism aspect of it, because that was kind of the main juxt of the conversation that was going on with.
If you guys have ever watched Econoboi's conversation with Lonerbox, when Lonerbox was watching the debate between Pisco and Destiny, you know that he is, like, just actually a retard. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Okay, I'm sorry. Okay, I just think... I just think it speaks for itself, okay?
Destiny and Connor, and this is what I guess I'm curious about, because I don't really understand. How are you defining socialism, and what are you advocating for economically, and why is it socialist?
Sure. I think there's going to be that's kind of a semantic discussion. What are the meaning of words? Where does it come from? I mean, I can tell you that based on my survey of socialist thinkers and socialism across history, the single largest universe of socialists that I can think of is people who believe in the collective ownership of the means of production. Now, obviously, people like to add in all sorts of extra shit, right? Like, oh, you got to decommodify the market.
Oh yeah, just FYI, okay? Support the stream, please. If you have not hit the like button yet, please hit the like button. If you want to support me further, just keep in mind that you can always support me via, super chat, donations, or any kind of that sort. You can You can also donate via Streamlabs, okay? You can help me out via a number of ways. I am moving soon, so, just keep that part in mind as well. I might not stream for, like, a day only, okay? But, that's really about it. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate you guys. Remember, okay, support your local streamer, please. Okay.
Markets, and you have to decommodify labor, and you have to have production for use, and there's all kinds of other shit that people like to add.
When you say collectivize the means of production, you mean everything would have to be forcibly a co-op. There'd be no private businesses, right?
Well, no, I mean, you could have a pluralistic model. So cooperatives aren't the only way to collectivize production, but in an ideal sense, a socialist period model wouldn't have any private ownership of essentially businesses.
Right.
And so that's what I kind of think about when I say socialism. I think of collective ownership of the means of production. And to your second point of like, what do I actually advocate for?
Which is retarded.
I did release, there's my latest article. It's part 3 of my Journey to Democratic Socialism on my Substack, where I basically give, it's like a 5,000 word article where I exactly lay out kind of what I'm advocating for. And the short of it is that things like sovereign wealth funds and things like holding corporations, where public institutions will, essentially purchase open market stock, and they'll engage in entrepreneurial investment allocation on behalf of the public, right? Holding corporations and sovereign wealth funds and things like that. And in doing so, they take privately owned things and they put them to public use, right? So for instance, if we were to imagine that a sovereign wealth fund, this is just an example, it would be much more complex than this, of course, but if we were to imagine that a sovereign wealth fund were to purchase, 70% of the stock of Walmart, well, the control of that entity goes from private hands, in the case of the shareholders of Walmart, to public hands, in the case of the public entity that now controls the stock.
Oh my god, I hear the ice cream truck outside. Oh, ice cream. Okay,
and so those are the kind of institutions that I would generally argue for.
Well, I mean, a sovereign wealth fund is not socialist, and I don't think most socialists would even think of it as a socialist thing.
Well, what's maybe this? I get a little frustrated when people say sovereign wealth funds aren't socialist. So, I've just heard it a lot. Obviously, you're being good faith, but like when a sovereign wealth fund purchases a business, like that's a publicly controlled entity. Well, you can purchase more or less stock over time. And so look at just the GDP, right? So
the overwhelming majority of the socialists that we're talking about and people engaging with, that they don't really believe what you believe. They believe in a far more authoritarian view of the government.
Okay.
They believe in a
okay. This is the topic that I'm looking for. I'm looking for specifically when they start talking about enabling Tankies to be in your movement as allies, right? That's what I'm specifically talking about. That's what I'm looking for. But yeah, okay, all right. Here
far more restrictive form of the economy, and not in this kind of what you're laying out here. So why would you even defend any of that?
Well, and I just want to add, you're giving massive ammunition to the Republicans, because the Republicans want to paint every normie lib as a fucking communist, and everything you're laying out is not even close to that.
Right.
It's not close to what?
That's correct.
I don't know what you mean.
Correct.
It's not close to
correct.
communism,
I read your Substack, and you're not for the abolition of private property. You're not for the abolition of billionaires. So these are the things that most socialists are advocating for.
Yeah. So, okay. So I guess to respond to those general points. So, it was really part 2 of my Substack where I come to like why I call myself a socialist. I don't call myself a socialist because of my practical model. Like I call myself a socialist because I have a normative foundation, which I think to be socialist in nature. That like I do think there's an ideal of social ownership that's worth achieving, and that ideal is complete social ownership, right? And that's because of my egalitarian views. We don't have to get into that, but like
yeah, but we don't care about your egalitarian. It's like saying oh yeah, I'm a fuck. What's a good example, guys? What's the equivalent? Fuck. It's like saying, oh yeah, I'm a Nazi. Okay, that better not be clipped. It's like saying, oh, I'm a Nazi, but the reason I say I'm a Nazi is because I believe in a set of economic principles or some shit. Well, no, when people say socialist, they typically are thinking of something else. These terms are defined by other people's perceptions, right? These terms are not defined by these terms are not defined by you. They're defined by other people's perceptions, and you don't have the audience capital to move a definition in one way or another, right? If you're Taylor Swift, if you're Taylor Swift or Hassan, you can actually define something and everyone can use your definition to the point where you shift the definition. But you would be delusional as to think, oh, if I use the term socialist enough to refer to economic principles, then eventually people will start to move on my position and use my definition instead of the Tanky definition. Well, the problem is that when people say socialist or they refer to socialist, they are thinking of the Tanky definition, right? By default. They are thinking of the Tanky definition when the normie hears about socialism, right? If that makes sense. If you have links blocked in your chat, change your settings. I'm also 52 minutes behind.
My normative framework, not my practical framework, which is, for me, dictating the label of socialist. Now, to Sitch and Adam, your point about, okay, well, most socialists are like authoritarian who, want to run the government in a more rigid and like autocratic way. I don't agree with that. Like, I think that was part of the debate that we had, that I think that when you look at the types, about 10% of the Democratic base calls themselves socialist, right? And I would obviously recognize this is an idiosyncratic group of people. But when we look at like, okay, well, who do these Democratic socialists, like I guess like big D Democratic socialists, who do they vote for, and like what are their general political opinions? They don't vote for people like Jackson Hinkle, like they vote for people like Kamala Harris, right? And so if these people were such committed autocrats,
I don't know if there's an option. It doesn't seem like there's any option for me to enable links in chat. Sorry.
I just don't think that they would vote for people like that, and they overwhelmingly do vote for either like moderate Democrats in general elections or like progressive Democrats in primaries, like Bernie or AOC. And if they were,
well, I mean, like that's like saying, oh, generally Nazis are moderate when it comes to voting for Trump, right? Because you would expect them to vote for some other extremist party. Like, what are we even talking about at this point, right?
Really tinted red to the degree that you're describing. I just like, why would they engage in electoral politics like that?
Well, I would imagine, I don't know if there's ever been a survey on it, but I'd imagine that these 10% of people, if I mean, I'm assuming that number's correct. I don't know the fact of that, but if 10% of the people call themselves socialists in the Democratic Party, that those people's views would be more aligned with the average socialist view that we see online, which is all about abolishing private property and abolishing capitalism and capital, which is not, I mean, you're sort of advocating for that, but not really, right? So you're definitely the odd man out here in what you're advocating for. And so the question is, and I think the question is, why are you sort of aligning yourself with a movement that seems to be at odds with what you want, or how you even define socialism?
Look, I mean, I think if online circles were true indicators of people's beliefs, then Bernie Sanders would have completely flatlined Hillary Clinton in the 2016 primary.
Well, no, wait, hold on. So I agree that the online internet circle is the minority, definitely, but it's definitely the majority of socialists. So I don't think you can say that the majority of socialists online is not indicative of socialists running around.
Dude, I also think it's epic cringe how Econoboi has literally came out and said like, oh, well, I'm coming out as socialist. Bitch, what? Dude, why are you making this a big thing? Who cares?
Elsewhere in America.
But I think that if it was true that basically like popular online socialist media figures represented, or like insular socialist internet, like, Discord spaces and things like that, like really represented everyone of that, 10% that calls themselves a socialist, then you would expect that to that wouldn't even be 10% of the base. These people would be Green Party voters. They wouldn't even vote for Democrats, right? Because this is a group of people that is like so substantially anti-Democratic Party and working within these frameworks, right? Like I take it that
Okay, I don't know if there's any option. I think I ticked an option where I can hold like linked, where if you link something in chat, like it would be held for review or something, where I could review it and see whether or not it's passable. But yeah, anyway, you can try linking something. Who knows? Link google.com, see if it works.
The average online socialist, like media figure, I should say, is just certainly not very similar to the average, like actually existing person that would describe themselves as a socialist. And I just,
the DSA had second thought come to their conference and give a speech.
Yeah, the DSA, but the DSA again, like if we're talking about the DSA itself is not a platform organization, right? Like they take a very broad socialist tent. And I would never deny the idea that there are tankies in the socialist movement, or that there are people in the socialist movement who have just like broader undesirable views. I mean, that's true with every political movement, of course. So I would never say that, but I'm just saying that we have to distinguish between what I think to be three very different groups of people. We've got online socialist commentators. We have basically DSA members, which is about 70,000 some odd people, depending on the year. It seems like they're.
I think Lonerbox describes this the best. Okay, where what you have is essentially you have an iceberg, right? You have an iceberg of people, but the problem is that in terms of the socialists, what they reveal to liberals is the top of the iceberg. But what they're hiding away is like the entire the 90% of the extremist crazy things that they keep quiet about, right? So what they do is that they will take the top like 10% of the iceberg and use it to infiltrate like liberal movements, right? And then in the end, after infiltrating the liberal movement, then they will try to propagate their bottom 90% like iceberg information around, right? Trouble down below, exactly. And I'm just saying, like, I think Lonerbox explains that part pretty damn well. And I think it's especially telling when again, we might just actually just watch Lonerbox's talk with Econoboi. And it's just like incredibly damning, like how Econoboi is just incredibly stupid. Like how stupid he's just like stupid. He's like moronic. He's not even smart, you know? Fuck. Or maybe he's just autistic? I don't know.
Getting an uptick in membership lately. And then we have everyone that calls themselves a socialist, which is like 5% of the entire adult population, which is like over, it's like 15 million people or something like that, right? And online socialists and
also, I'm tired of like these people who are like calling these people smart. I don't know why the fuck Surefat Otaku is calling, maybe by Surefat Otaku standards, but like I just don't get why you're saying Econoboi is smart or like these other people are smart. These people are not smart. They're not smart people. Okay, I'm sorry, dude. Fuck. Like why the fuck are you pretending like these, like you're gassing these people up just because you have a bridge with them? Like the fuck? I don't gas you up. I don't gas you up. If I think you're stupid, you're stupid. Damn.
DSA members are just, you know, I know it sounds bizarre, but it's almost like saying the Black Lives Matter organization is representative of like everyone that's used the Black Lives Matter hashtag, when that's just that would be a totally unfair characterization of the broader views of people that support the Black Lives Matter movement. And so that's just
knowledgeable and smart are two different things. If you are able to like spew out a bunch of knowledge, chances are you're actually a moron, because a person who doesn't manage to put into stuff that is more concise is more representative of being like a moron, in my opinion. Okay, that's just my like fucking opinion.
To that point, to answer the second point that you made about you know, coming out as, I've heard this point a lot, like, oh, coming out as a socialist, I guess like in some regards like gives cover to Marxist-Leninists or people who have like these very bad intentions. I guess I don't really agree with that. I think that on like the margin, you could make the argument that like by me making a sensible case for socialism, it's going to give people less pause when they just like hear the word socialism when somebody describes in their views, and that could be like a.
But the thing is that they don't give anything back, right? Like you're suggesting, oh, if they want to participate in the movement, they can. Well, the thing is that they don't. First of all, they don't even want to vote. They don't even want to canvass in the first place. Like the thing is that if any communist wants to canvass, I think that's perfectly fine. Like fuck, you just want to give them the room to canvass, fine, go do that shit, right? There's no problem for like in terms of doing that, but I'm just saying like these same people, like they'll never ever extend a hand back when it comes to helping you out, right? You want to, dude, like you let them into the movement and they infiltrate your liberal movement, but they'll never accept you inside of their communist movement, period. Okay, you'll likely end up in a ditch in their ideal scenario. Why the fuck would you team with someone who actually wants you dead in their ideal world? That is insane to me, right? Actually, yeah, like in terms of that, like outside of like canvassing and shit, you know, and doing very practical things that are like bottom of the barrel type shit, right? Anyway.
Like a person that has these very like negative beliefs. But I mean, I think that if you really operated under that, we would be in kind of an ideological black hole in some sense. Like obviously there's many people that call themselves liberal who have like pretty abhorrent political views, and it's like, are we essentially going to say that we can judge a movement by the worst minority of
and like what? Like what? Like what? Name a liberal view that's bad. Do it. Name a liberal view that's bad. What? Capitalism? Intervention to help countries? Like supply shit? Trading? Free market? The UN? Trying to prevent war crimes from around the world? Are these the things that you like say are bad? I'm sorry. Which liberal view that is common? It has to be common. It can't be like some kind of fucking fringe view. Okay, what liberal view that is common is bad? Seriously. Name one, Econoboi. If you're going to say that, you should name at least one. Otherwise, you're just like being bad faith and you're holding water for Tankies. I'm sorry, okay?
People within it. I just don't.
Yeah, but that's the
think
problem, is that
that
you're making the claim
like what,
that all the socialists or the majority of socialists online are not indicative of this 5% of socialists that is out there. The DSA is not indicative of that. How do you know this? What are you basing this off of?
Well, but Sitch, again,
That's
so
also true.
number one, there's polling data, right? So I feel like
Polling data.
I understand that
What does the
you
polling data
and
say?
Yeah, give us a
So-
poll.
What?
okay, so
what polling
I can look
data are
it
you
up and send it to you
talking about?
afterwards. But basically, by the polling data of like who do socialists vote for, right? These people overwhelmingly vote
my
for
God.
Democrats, right? Adam, what's funny about what I just said? Like, if you're not going to
Well,
be a good
Nazis
faith,
overwhelmingly vote for Republicans. It doesn't mean Republicans are Nazis.
well, I didn't
Yeah,
say
I mean-
Democrats are socialists. What are we talking about here?
No,
I didn't say
because
that.
I think that most socialists, even if they have very extreme socialist views, if they have to vote between Kamala Harris and Trump, most of them are going to vote for Kamala Harris.
Kamala
I don't see how
Harris,
that.
yes,
No, but
obviously.
you
that
guys are
wait,
making the
let me
claim.
let me just lay out what I'm saying. I don't think that just because there's a poll that says the majority of socialists will vote for Democrats, that does not mean that you can turn around and say, well, that means that the
Right. That doesn't say anything. That doesn't say anything about their actual beliefs, right? That says nothing about their actual beliefs. Yeah. I mean, fuck. Didn't Richard Spencer vote for Biden? didn't Nick Fuentes say like he wanted to vote for Biden or something? Really, Ninja? Really, Ninja? You're gonna go to who they vote for in terms of like what actual beliefs they want to advocate for? Fuck me, dude. Like, didn't Hassan himself say that he voted for Kamala Harris in the debate versus like Ethan Klein? By the way, I think that's a lie, but whatever.
They're
majority of
moderates,
socialists
yes.
online is not where the view of socialists in America are.
So I don't. Okay, so we're going to ultimately go in circles on this. I think it is more sensible to judge, in some sense, a broader movement of people by who they support in actually existing political spaces. Because, for instance, I think one of the in the Destiny debate, one of the main actual criticism that Destiny narrowed in on was online media figure socialists are radical and anti-democratic party and arguably anti-democracy just in general, right? And one of the points that I made was, hey, if it's true that the average person who calls themselves a socialist is basically a tinfoil hat wearing Green Party, like, anti-democrat, anti-democracy socialist, I don't think it would be sensible to expect that like 70 to 90% of these people would just vote for the moderate Democratic nominee, right? And look, if you guys don't buy that data and you say, look, these guys, they're just hiding their power level or whatever, then we just have a bedrock disagreement, a bedrock, difference of understanding of the data, and there's no reconciling that.
Dude, me when I'm a Econoboi, I have these conservative like retards, okay? I have these actual fucking retarded brain dead vegetable named Adam and Sitch who is like going around and telling me, like they're literally telling me, hey, by the way, just so you know, you're holding water for Tankies. Okay, I'm not gonna believe them. All right. I've also had Destiny, who is on the opposite side of Adam and Sitch, also tell me this. Oh, I'm not going to believe him either, okay? I've had Counterpoint, someone who is a avowed conservative, tell me that I'm holding water for Tankies. Okay, I'm not going to believe this. You have Straighterade infiltrating the same circle that you are in, who is a Tanky. Oh, okay, I'm still gonna close my eyes. You close your eyes on 4 separate occasions, okay? How many more times are you gonna close your eyes and go, I'm not gonna believe what I see in front of me because the party said so. The party said, and this is the most final and essential command, is to not believe what is in front of your eyes, okay? Good one, Econoboi, you fucking moron. But anyway.
But wasn't the context of the debate, should we be reaching out to the far left, the radicals,
So
the ones
stupid.
that do want to hang the billionaires and abolish private property? Wasn't that the context of your
Adam,
argument?
that is such an absurd thing to say that was the context. The context of the debate wasn't, do you really think that the context of the debate was, should we reach out to people who want to hang billionaires? Do you think that was like a sensible interpretation of the topic?
What wasn't the name of the stream?
I was asking Adam a
reach out
respect.
I would actually feel a lot better if that was put as a survey question, right? Because I feel like I would get like so much more of a truthful, kind of thing to take a look at or something. I don't know, dude. It's just like, fuck. I mean, again, okay, like I don't know how honest they'll be, when it comes to answering that question, because that's such a crazy, thing. Wait, hold on. Do you know what's good evidence? Luigi Mangione. Do you know how many people are like pro Luigi Mangione? How is that not evidence? How is that not evidence? How is that not? Do you know how many people are pro Luigi Mangione? a fuck ton are pro like Luigi Mangione. So I don't even know. Like the evidence is literally right in front of us. It's right there, right? Like, are we gonna pretend Luigi Mangione supporters don't exist? Like, fuck. This guy assassinated
Adam, do you think that was a sensible do you think that's what I was defending when I said we should reach out to people that say we should kill all the billionaires?
Like don't be
well,
except
obviously
someone literally
you
did.
wouldn't frame it that way.
Do you think that's what I meant?
Oh my god.
Well, look, you're talking about Hassan. Do you think Hassan wants to kill all the billionaires?
First of all, you are the first one to bring up Hassan in this conversation. Okay, now
Hassan came up in your conversation though. He was one of the names that you bandied about.
Yeah, and I said over and over and over and over and over again. No, Adam, dude, you're completely. I feel like you're trolling me at this point. I said over and over and over again. I probably said 5 separate times.
God, don't you guys hate how soy Econoboi sounds? Gosh, this guy is such a weak, fucking pathetic, like fucking like worthless, like weak soy boy. Oh my god, he's such a soft. Oh god, he's such a soft fucking teddy bear, and he wants to participate in fucking politics, the art of death. Okay, all right. Oh my god, give me a fucking break. He's like a fucking plushie trying to participate in the Game of Thrones. Okay, I think that's what's going on. Jesus Christ.
No, Adam, 1 second. I probably said 5 separate times in that conversation.
Look at him.
I don't think we should be courting Hassan. Hassan is not the...
Look at the fucking ridiculous... Dude, I would be so much more comfortable with the Tanky getup. Like, look at him. Look at him. He's such a fucking... God, look at how, like, retarded and beta and, disgusting he looks. Ugh. Anyway.
The kind of person I would acquiesce to. That's an absurd, fucking, wild mischaracterization of anything that I said. All that I said was this, okay? I said... to the extent that 10% of people that vote for Democrats, roughly speaking, are socialists or socialist-aligned people, we should listen to what they have to say, and we should incorporate at least some of what they have to say in the Democratic Party platform, and we should give them some leadership positions within the party. Like AOC should probably be the chair of some committee, Mamdani should probably speak at the DNC, little things like that.
The question is, are these people in league with Hassan, or are these people normal moderates? I mean, that's really what the,
and we've already
you're arguing that they're not in league with Hassan. You're arguing we should not court those people, but we should court the people who are the moderates. And I think the disagreement is over whether those people actually exist or whether it's more fans of Hassan.
Yeah, the question is, are people like AOC and Mamdani basically just believe the same thing that Hassan believes, right? And like they're just hiding their power level, and the people who vote for them are basically just a bunch of Hassan like fans, basically, and like are these like fundamentally different group of people? I think if the caricature, and I'm not saying it's an incorrect caricature, but if the caricature of the online left media figure is one who is anti-democratic, anti-democracy, basically a tanky that believes in authoritarianism, and if that caricature is the caricature of just the millions of people that call themselves socialists in this country, then I don't think you would expect those people to be out there. These are people that, like the caricature that I described, these are people that would say it's...
I can't believe Econoboi still doesn't understand like what Destiny was getting at, right? Because the entire point of what Destiny is saying is that these people are operating within the politics sphere, where they are trying to appeal to as many people possible when it comes to like getting elected, right? When you're getting elected, it's a completely different game from just simply being a commentator person, right? When you're being elected, you also have to appeal to the liberals, right? And the moderates, right? Like you want to appeal to the populace and the moderates and whatever. But when you're a commentator like Hassan, he isn't appealing to any of that, right? He doesn't have to appeal to the liberals. He doesn't have to appeal to the moderates. He doesn't have to do any of that. We're talking about people who have great influence, like Hassan, right? Hassan isn't trying to win elections. And if anything, due to his NPR interview, he literally said that he's not interested in winning elections in the first place, right? So I don't even know why the fuck, like, it's just so stupid. Like, I'm sorry, it's just retarded shit, but whatever. It's a rhetorical sleight of hand. Mamdani is the type of socialist that people are worried about. AOC is not. Is he? I don't know.
Evil to vote for Kamala Harris. It's completely wrong. You should never vote for the evil Genocide Joe party or whatever, but they overwhelmingly voted for Kamala Harris, and they overwhelmingly tend to vote for Democrats in the primary. And so, again, if we just have a misinterpretation, if we have just a fundamentally different interpretation of that data and theory of what it means to be a socialist and the kinds of like motivations of voters, then that there's no, we just have a bedrock disagreement. But I think my view just generally captures better, just the motivations of people who vote, I guess. So
this isn't, but what you're doing is it's not an interpretation. It's an assumption. It's a very large assumption that you're making.
Assumption, I mean, obviously these are somewhat interchangeable words. I mean,
well, okay,
sure,
but I think the connotation I'm going to use for assumption seems to be a lot more clear here, because you're using this one data point, which is just that these people that say that they're socialists would vote for Democrats. And you're saying, well, therefore, because they vote for Democrats, that must mean that they have far more moderate views than all the socialists in the DSA, than all the socialists online, all the socialists that we're visibly seeing.
Exactly.
So you're saying that there's basically this majority silent.
Fuck, dude. I hate a world where I'm forced to be pro Adam and Sitch. It is, dude, what a terrible state we are in terms of the current discourse, to the point where like I have to be pro Adam and Sitch. It fucking sucks in this house.
Majority of socialists out there that just because they voted in, possibly for the lesser of two evils in their mind, which a lot of people, I think, I'm pretty sure Hassan, I don't know if he did, but I'm pretty sure that most people in Hassan's audience voted for Harris. I'm pretty sure most people in Vosh's audience voted for Harris. I would assume basically every person in the left-wing audience on YouTube voted for Harris. So to me, the assumption you're making just seems completely out of left field.
Okay, and look, I think it is more fair.
Sitch is more based in Adam, and they had many fights before. They had multiple fights before. They almost split up, actually.
To judge
Adam and Sitch are ultimately, I wouldn't say that. They've held a lot of water for fucking. They've held a lot of water for Trump in the past.
A broader movement by the kinds of people that they elect. I think that, for instance, when you look at Donald Trump and like all the people that vote for Trump, like, it does seem to me that people who
I'm not even that optimistic. I'm pretty sure like most people in Hassan's audience have not voted, right? And if they had voted, they probably voted for Jill Stein, right? Because it's not like Hassan told them explicitly to go out and vote for Kamala Harris. He never said that, right? I don't think so. They are liberal dispositionally and idealist. Okay, I don't know what definition you're going by or whatever the fuck, but I don't know if that's the case.
Vote for Trump are like a pretty different group of people than people who vote for Kamala Harris.
Your definition is already
fair assumption to make.
Okay, no one's saying otherwise.
No, I'm not saying you're saying otherwise. I'm just saying just a crude comparison, right? That like, okay, like these are pretty radically different groups of people, right?
That's not the, wait, hold on.
No, you're not. I didn't make the argument. I haven't finished the point. So I'm just saying that I think it's sensible to say that based on who people vote for in politics, that says something I think pretty core to that person. And when I look at all these different online socialist media figures who said vote for the Green Party, opt out, don't go show up to vote, and overwhelmingly these people just like ignored that and didn't do that. I don't think that Hassan is more representative of those people. I think that the people like Bernie is like Bernie is a better representative of the views of the average American socialist than Hassan. Bernie has a much bigger audience, much bigger platform. He's gotten millions of votes. He still has millions of people that support him. I don't know.
Hey, let me ask out of the.
I like how he says millions of people who support him as if like he hasn't lost like 2 fucking elections in a row.
All the people that voted for Trump, I think it was over 70 million Americans.
Yeah.
What is how much of that constituency is radical, and how much of that constituency is just normie Republicans?
It's a crude.
Wow, I can't believe I can't believe how much Bernie won. You guys loses 2 elections. Good one, loser.
Estimate. I mean, by the polling that I've seen, it seems like probably 60% of people that vote for Republicans could have what I would call, or I would say 60% of Republican identified Trump voters. So, I guess it's less than 60%. So I guess like probably like 40% of the people who voted for Trump have views, self-expressed views that I would describe as radical.
So 40% of Trump voters are radicals.
Something like that, yeah.
Okay.
So, well, of those radicals, because there are a lot of people. I know Fuentes kind of went back and forth on Trump, but there were a lot of people that were in the alt-right or the white national space, or people that believed in the Jewish question, who definitely voted for and supported Trump, even though Trump is probably the most pro-Israel candidate we've ever had. So why would they vote for Trump?
So I'm not. So again, I'm not making. I'm not denying that there are Marxist-Leninists who voted for Kamala Harris, right? So like obviously there's probably some portion of people in the world who are Marxist-Leninists and voted for Harris, right? So I've never said anything different, right? However,
you're implying that they're not on scale. I'm implying
that I think the great majority of socialists are not basically Tankies, right? That they have like broadly favorable democratic views. For instance, and one of the pieces of evidence that I've used to say that 10% of Democrats describe themselves as socialists is those 10% have cross-ideological identifiers. So that's 10% of people that would call themselves both liberal and a socialist, right? And again, I don't think a tankie would call themselves liberal, right? And I don't think a tankie would generally be, they wouldn't be very likely to vote for Kamala Harris if that's their ideological disposition. I just think that it's a better assumption to make that people like Bernie and AOC and Mamdani and like all these different like socialists who've been elected in these like big elections and who are well known and supported, I just think it's a better assumption to say that their views, because they actually get votes, are more reflective of the base of socialists in this country than, you know, a guy like Hassan who streams, like, what does Hassan stream to? Like 15,000 people? Like, I just don't think that's very representative of the socialist movement compared to these politicians. But again,
Wait, you think the second biggest political streamer in the world does not represent to some degree? No, sorry, the biggest lefty political streamer in the world doesn't represent like views of that place. Like he can just breathe one particular set of views and they all fall in line because it's kind of like MAGA, right? Like you don't dude, oh my god, Econoboi, you absolute fucking brain dead vegetable. Holy shit.
we just disagree on that, you know. There's nothing really to there's no more to extract, I guess.